What if I told you that the reason some people become unforgettable in love has nothing to do with looks, money, or endless texting, but with something darker, quieter, and far more dangerous to the heart? Have you ever noticed how the people who try the least often become the ones others can't stop thinking about? Why is it that when someone pulls away, the mind chases them even harder? And more importantly, have you ever wondered why you weren't the one being chased? Think back for a moment. Was there someone from your past? Someone who ignored you, disappeared, or never fully gave you closure, yet somehow still lives rent-free in your mind? Even now, years later, a single memory of them can stir something deep inside you. Why? This is not coincidence. This is psychology. And long before modern dating coaches existed, Niccolò Machiavelli understood this truth better than anyone. Today's video is not about romance in the soft, poetic sense. It's about power and love, the kind that silently rewires desire, the kind that makes someone hunt instead of being handed affection easily. This video may make you uncomfortable, but if you stay until the end, it can genuinely change how people respond to you in relationships. Before we go any further, if you're serious about understanding the hidden psychology behind attraction, obsession, and emotional control, subscribe to my channel, Shadow Psyche. Like this video because it helps push this kind of real, unfiltered content to people who need it. And most importantly, watch this video till the very end, because missing even one idea could be the difference between being forgotten and being unforgettable. Now, let's begin. Point 1. Never satisfy desire completely. Machiavelli's most dangerous love truth. Machiavelli once wrote that people value what is rare, not what is always available. He wasn't talking about love directly, but anyone who understands power understands relationships. And if you've lived long enough, you already know this truth, even if no one ever explained it to you. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you gave them everything? Your time, your attention, your explanations, your forgiveness, only to slowly feel them pull away? At first they were curious about you. They asked questions. They leaned in. And then the more you gave, the less they seemed to care. Machiavelli understood why this happens. In his own life, he experienced love not as a fairy tale, but as a battlefield of power, desire, and loss. Machiavelli loved passionately, yet he observed something painful. The heart does not cling to what it fully possesses. It clings to what remains just out of reach. Picture Machiavelli in Florence, writing letters late at night, waiting for replies that did not always come. The silence tormented him more than rejection ever could. That silence forced his mind to imagine, to hope, to obsess. And from that suffering, he learned a brutal lesson. Desire dies in certainty but grows in mystery. Think about your own memories. Who do you remember more? The person who always replied instantly, or the one who disappeared without explanation, who still crosses your mind when you least expect it? Machiavelli's rule was not to be cold but to be measured. He believed that giving everything too quickly strips love of tension. When there is no tension, there is no longing, and without longing, attachment fades. This is why he advised restraint. Speak less than you feel. Show interest, then return to your world. Let silence do the work words cannot. Not to manipulate, but to allow the other person's emotions to grow on their own. Ask yourself this: what if the reason someone couldn't let you go wasn't because you chased them, but because you didn't? In Machiavelli's darkest lesson, the power is not in pursuit. The power is in becoming the absence that the heart tries desperately to fill. And once someone begins chasing clarity from you, you're no longer just a memory. You become the story they can't stop rewriting in their mind. Point 2. Withdraw at the peak of emotion. Let absence do the damage. Machiavelli believed that timing is everything, not just in politics or war, but in love. One of his darkest observations was this: the moment emotion reaches its highest point is the exact moment you must step back. Stay longer and desire fades. Leave at the peak and obsession begins. Let me ask you something deeply personal. Do you remember a moment when someone laughed with you a little too long, looked at you a little too deeply, or opened their heart just a little too much? A moment when you felt, this is it. They're finally connected to me. Now ask yourself, what happened after? Most people make the same mistake. When emotion rises, they lean in harder. They text more. They explain more. They try to lock the moment in. And without realizing it, they suffocate the very feeling they worked so hard to create. Machiavelli learned this lesson through loss. In his love life, he noticed something painful. When he remained present after emotional intensity, the connection cooled. But when he was forced away by duty, distance, or silence, the women he left behind became restless. Letters grew longer. Questions grew deeper. Feelings intensified in his absence. Why? Because the human heart doesn't process emotion immediately. It processes it after you're gone. Think about your own life. Who affected you more? The person who stayed and explained everything, or the one who left you with unanswered feelings? Who made you replay moments in your head late at night? Machiavelli understood that absence is not emptiness, it is a canvas. And the mind fills that canvas with longing, fantasy, and emotional attachment. This doesn't mean disappearing forever. It means knowing when to step back. When a conversation feels charged, pause. When a date feels perfect, end it first. When emotions rise, leave them wanting more. Ask yourself this honestly. What if the reason someone never missed you is because you never gave them the chance? The brilliance of this method is that it feels natural. You're not rejecting. You're not playing games. You're simply refusing to overstay your emotional welcome. Machiavelli knew that power belongs to the one who controls the rhythm. When you withdraw at the peak, you allow the other person's emotions to echo without you there to soften them. And that echo grows louder each day. Once someone starts missing you more than they see you, once your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did, you stop being just part of their life. You become the feeling they can't escape. Point 3. Never be fully understood. Mystery is the root of obsession. Machiavelli believed that once people fully understand you, they stop fearing you, stop desiring you, and eventually stop valuing you. In politics, a ruler who is predictable loses power. In love, a person who is completely transparent loses intrigue. And this lesson was not theoretical for Machiavelli. It was painfully personal. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever explained yourself so much that you felt emotionally naked? And instead of feeling closer, the other person slowly lost interest? You told them your past, your fears, your intentions. You wanted them to understand you completely. But after that, something changed. Machiavelli noticed this pattern in his own love life. He was a man of letters, of confession, of depth. He wrote openly, passionately, sometimes too honestly. And with time, he realized that the more he revealed, the less fascination remained. When everything was known, nothing was left to discover. The mystery died, and with it, the pull. Think about your own memories. Who fascinates you more? The person you know everything about, or the one you never fully figured out? Whose silence made you imagine meanings that were never spoken? Machiavelli understood a dark truth. The mind becomes attached to unfinished stories. When a person is never fully understood, the brain keeps returning to them, searching for answers. This doesn't mean lying. It means layering, revealing yourself slowly, letting people earn access to your inner world. Ask yourself this: what if the reason someone couldn't stop thinking about you was because they never fully knew you? When you explain every emotion, you remove curiosity. When you justify every action, you remove interpretation. But when you allow gaps, silence, pauses, unanswered expressions, you invite the other person's imagination to do the work. Machiavelli believed that power comes from being readable but not transparent, warm but not exposed, present but not decoded. Remember that person from your past, the one who confused you just enough to keep you emotionally hooked. The one whose words didn't always match their silence? That wasn't chaos. That was mystery at work. And here's the most dangerous part. People don't fall in love with who you are. They fall in love with who they think you might be. Once someone starts filling in the blanks about you, once they begin projecting their desires onto your silence, you're no longer just a person in their life. You become the puzzle they can't stop trying to solve. Point 4. Make them invest first. What costs nothing is worth nothing. Machiavelli believes something most people in love never realize until it's too late. People protect what they invest in, not what is handed to them freely. In politics, a ruler who gives without sacrifice is despised. In love, a heart that is given too easily is taken lightly. Let me ask you something that might sting a little. Have you ever been the one who cared more? The one who planned, explained, waited, forgave, and yet somehow, you were the one who lost them. Now ask yourself, who invested more in that relationship? Machiavelli learned this lesson the hard way. In his love life, he noticed that when he pursued too strongly, affection weakened. But when circumstances forced others to work for his attention, writing letters, waiting for replies, wondering where they stood, their feelings grew deeper, not because he manipulated them, but because effort creates attachment. Think about your own memories. Who do you value more? The person who gave you everything instantly, or the one you had to earn slowly? Which relationship left a deeper mark on your heart? Machiavelli understood that effort binds emotion. When someone invests time, emotion, vulnerability, or sacrifice into you, their mind begins to justify that investment. I wouldn't do this unless it mattered. And slowly, attachment forms. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They try to prove love by overgiving. They think consistency alone creates value. But Machiavelli would say value is created by cost. This doesn't mean being distant or cruel. It means allowing space for the other person to step forward. Let them initiate sometimes. Let them wonder. Let them risk a little emotional effort. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time someone chased you emotionally? When was the last time someone feared losing you? Machiavelli believed that the one who invests first is the one who becomes vulnerable, and vulnerability, when unbalanced, leads to loss of power. Remember someone from your past who never really tried, but you kept going back anyway? That wasn't love alone. That was your investment speaking. And here's the darkest truth of all. People don't get attached because you love them. They get attached because they worked for you. Once someone starts investing their emotions into you, once they risk effort, pride, and hope for your presence, you're no longer just someone they like. You become something they're afraid to lose. Point 5. Control your emotions. The one who feels less holds the power. Machiavelli believed that the greatest weakness a person can reveal is not fear or anger, but emotional dependence. In his world, the one who reacts loses control, and the one who remains composed quietly gains it. This lesson followed him not just in courts and politics, but in love, where emotions often betray us before words ever do. Let me ask you something honest. Have you ever waited for a message that took hours, and when it finally came, your mood instantly changed? Have you ever felt anxious because someone didn't show the same excitement you felt for them? That moment, that loss of inner balance, is where power slips away. Machiavelli learned this through his own attachments. He loved deeply, sometimes too deeply. He noticed that when his emotions were visible, when longing, frustration, or impatience leaked through, interest on the other side weakened. But when he remained calm, measured, even during desire or uncertainty, something strange happened. The other person leaned in harder. Why? Because emotional control signals strength. Think about your own memories. Who felt more powerful in your past? Relationships, the one who constantly sought reassurance, or the one who stayed grounded even in silence? Who did you try harder to impress? Machiavelli understood that people are drawn to emotional stability the same way they are drawn to confidence. When someone cannot read your emotional state clearly, they begin to wonder. When they cannot control how you feel, they begin to desire control themselves. This doesn't mean suppressing emotion, it means mastering it. Imagine feeling attraction without urgency, caring without clinging, enjoying connection without fear of loss. That inner calm creates gravity. People feel it even if they can't explain it. Ask yourself this. What if the reason someone pulled away wasn't because you cared too much, but because they felt that you needed them? Machiavelli believed that dependence shifts power instantly. The moment someone knows your happiness depends on them, they unconsciously lose respect for the bond. But when your happiness stands on your own foundation, they sense value. Remember that person from your past who never seemed shaken, no matter what happened? The one who stayed composed even when emotions ran high? Chances are, they left a deeper mark than those who begged to be understood. And here's Machiavelli's darkest truth in love. The person who controls their emotions controls the direction of the relationship. Once someone realizes they cannot disturb your inner balance, once they sense that you choose them but do not need them, you stop being someone who hopes to be loved. You become someone who is respected, desired, and pursued. Conclusion. Now take a breath and think about everything you just heard. None of these ideas were about tricks, manipulation, or pretending to be someone you're not. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was teaching control. Control over your emotions, control over your presence, control over how deeply someone invests in you. Look back at your own love story for a moment. How many times did things fall apart not because there was no connection, But because you gave too much too fast? How many times did you lose? Someone not when you pulled away, but when you tried harder? Machiavelli understood something most people learn too late. Love does not grow through neediness. It grows through respect, mystery, and emotional strength. The people we obsess over are rarely the ones who beg to stay. They are the ones who walked away with dignity, leaving silence behind. Ask yourself honestly, who from your past still crosses your mind? Was it the person who chased you endlessly, or the one who never fully revealed their heart? That answer tells you everything. If this video made you uncomfortable, that's a good sign. It means you're seeing your past clearly for the first time. And if even one idea here resonated with you, imagine what happens when you actually apply it. Not to control others, but to reclaim your self-respect and emotional balance. If you want more content that explores the dark psychology of attraction, power, and human behavior, subscribe to the channel Shadow Psyche. Like this video so it reaches people who are still stuck repeating the same mistakes. And comment below, I want to know which point hit you the hardest and why. Remember, the goal is not to be chased. The goal is to become someone who cannot be ignored. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.